Dr. Amanda Cross stared at the massive shapes moving across her computer screen. The alien ships looked like living creatures instead of metal vessels. They had smooth, curved surfaces that seemed to breathe and pulse with dark energy. Each ship was 5 times larger than the human research station where she worked. "How many of them are there?" Captain Jake Morrison asked as he stood behind her chair. His voice was calm, but Amanda could hear the worry hidden underneath. 12 main ships, Lieutenant Sam Rivera said from his desk nearby. "Maybe more behind." "Them? They just came out of nowhere, sir, no warning at all." Amanda had spent her whole life studying alien life forms, but she had never seen anything like this. The ships moved in perfect formation, like a pack of space wolves hunting together. She felt her heart beating faster as she watched them get closer to the station. "Are they trying to talk to us?" Captain Morrison asked. Sam shook his head. "Nothing yet, sir." "But wait. I'm getting something now." He pressed buttons on his control panel and put the sound through the speakers. A deep, growling voice filled the room. The alien language sounded like rocks grinding together mixed with animal roars. Dr. Lisa Kane hurried into the room carrying her tablet computer. She was the station's expert on how different species think and act. "I heard the alarm. What's happening?" she asked. "First contact," Amanda said quietly. "The real thing this time." Lisa's eyes went wide as she looked at the alien ships on the screen. "They look predatory," she said after a moment. "The ship design, the formation they're flying in. These aren't explorers or traders." The grinding voice came through the speakers. Again, but this time Sam had his translation computer working. The mechanical voice of the translator spoke in choppy English. "Small creatures, surrender now. Resistance brings pain. We are Zephyrian Empire. You will serve or die." Captain Morrison straightened his shoulders. As a former military officer, he had trained for situations like this, but training felt very different from the real thing. "Sam, open a channel. Let me talk to them." "Channel open, sir." Morrison stepped closer to the microphone. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of Human Research Station Meridian 7. We come in peace. We want to talk and learn about each other." The response came quickly, and the translator worked to change the alien words. "Peace is for prey animals. We are hunters. You smell of weakness. Prepare for combat trials." Amanda felt cold fear run down her back. She had read about warrior species in her studies, but she always hoped humans would meet peaceful aliens first. "Captain, I think they're testing us. Many predator species use combat to decide who's stronger." "Combat trials?" Lisa repeated. "That doesn't sound good." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they could see inside one of the alien ships. The creature that appeared was terrifying. It stood at least 8 feet tall, covered in dark, shiny armor that looked like it had grown from its skin. Sharp claws extended from its hands, and its face was a mix of insect and reptile features. Scars crossed its armor in many places, showing this was a creature that had fought many battles. "I am Commander Vextar," the alien said through the translator. "I lead this hunting pack. You will send your strongest warriors to face us in combat. When they die, your people will serve the Zephyrian Empire." Captain Morrison looked at Amanda, then at Lisa. None of them were soldiers. The station only had a few security guards led by Sergeant Alex Turner. They were researchers, not fighters. "We're scientists," Morrison said into the microphone. "We study space and planets and life forms. We don't want to fight." Commander Vextar made a sound that might have been laughter, but it sounded more like a growl. "All weak species say this. You hide behind soft words because you have no claws, no armor, no strength. This is why you will serve us." The alien moved closer to his camera, and they could see his face more clearly. His eyes were completely black, like a shark's eyes. "Look at yourselves, soft creatures, pink skin that tears easily, small teeth that cannot bite through armor, tiny claws that cannot cut. You are prey animals trying to speak like predators." Amanda felt anger building inside her chest. She had spent years learning about different species, and she knew that intelligence mattered more than physical strength. But looking at Commander Vextar, she understood why he thought humans were weak. Compared to his natural armor and weapons, Humans did look helpless. "We have technology," Morrison said. "Ships, weapons, tools. Tools are for species too weak to hunt with their own bodies," Vextar replied. "We have conquered 47 star systems. Every species tried to hide behind their tools. All of them failed. All of them now serve us or are dead." Lisa whispered to Amanda. "He's trying to intimidate us. This is psychological warfare. He wants us to be afraid before the fighting even starts." But Amanda was thinking about something else. She remembered reading about persistence hunting in her university classes. Early humans had hunted animals much larger and stronger than themselves. They didn't use brute force. They used their brains, their patience, and their ability to work together. "Captain," she said quietly, "maybe we shouldn't fight them the way they expect." Morrison looked at her with curiosity. "What do you mean?" "They think we're prey because we look weak. But what if that's exactly what makes us dangerous?" Before Morrison could ask more questions, Commander Vextar spoke again. "We will give you 1 day to prepare your warriors. Choose your hunting ground. We will meet you there and show you the natural order of predator and prey." The screen went black, leaving the 4 humans alone in the quiet room. "Well," Morrison said after a long moment, "I guess we're going to fight aliens tomorrow." Amanda stared at the dark screen where the terrifying alien had been. She was scared, but she was also thinking. Commander Vextar had made one big mistake. He assumed that looking like prey meant being prey. But Amanda knew that the most dangerous hunters in nature often looked harmless until it was too late. "Captain," she said, "I have an idea, but you're not going to like it." Morrison turned to look at her. "Right now, I'll listen to any idea you have." "What if we let them hunt us?" Amanda said. "What if we show them what human hunting really looks like?" Captain Morrison stared at Amanda like she had lost her mind. "Let them hunt us? Amanda, these aliens are 8 feet tall with natural armor and claws. They've conquered dozens of planets." "That's exactly why this might work," Amanda said, moving to the computer terminal. She pulled up files about Zephyrian biology that the station's scanners had collected. "Look at their body structure. They're built for direct confrontation, big, strong, intimidating. They expect their enemies to either run away or fight back with brute force." Dr. Lisa Kane nodded slowly as she studied the alien data. Amanda might be onto something. Predator species that rely on intimidation often have blind spots. They don't expect prey to hunt them back. Lieutenant Sam Rivera looked confused. "But how can we hunt them? They're natural weapons with legs." Before Amanda could answer, the communication system activated again. Commander Vextar's face appeared on the screen, along with another Zephyrian who looked younger but just as dangerous. "This is Subcommander Kresheva," Vextar said, gesturing to the other alien. "She will help choose your hunting ground. We prefer varied terrain where prey can try to hide before we find them." Kresheva stepped forward. Her armor was darker than Vextar's, and Amanda noticed that her claws looked even sharper. "What spaces do you have on your station, soft creatures?" Morrison activated his station map. "We have cargo bays, living quarters, the engineering section, and our hydroponics bay." "What is hydroponics bay?" Kresheva asked. "It's where we grow our food," Morrison explained. "Plants and vegetables. It's our largest open space, about the size of 4 football fields. It has different levels, water channels, and lots of plant cover." Vextar made that growling laugh sound again. "Perfect. Prey animals always try to hide in plant cover. This will be amusing." He looked directly at the camera. "You will choose 5 of your people. We will choose 4 hunters. The hunt will last until all your people are dead or surrender." Amanda stepped forward before Morrison could speak. "What are the rules?" "Rules?" Vextar seemed surprised by the question. "Every hunt has rules," Amanda said, trying to keep her voice steady. "What weapons can we use? What counts as victory? How do we know when the hunt is over?" Kresheva answered this time. "No energy weapons, no explosives. You may use hand tools, natural materials, anything you can carry. Victory comes when one side cannot continue fighting. And if we win? Morrison asked. Vextar's black eyes seemed to shine with amusement. If you win, which you will not, we will leave your system and tell other Zephyrian fleets that humans are dangerous, but you will not win. No prey species has ever defeated Zephyrian hunters in ritual combat. After the aliens ended the communication, the 4 humans sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, Morrison spoke. Amanda, explain your plan, and it better be good. Amanda moved to the whiteboard and started drawing. The Zephyrians think like predators, but they think like ambush predators. Big cats, sharks, things that rely on surprise attacks and overwhelming force. But humans evolved as persistence hunters. What does that mean? Sam asked. Lisa answered. It means our ancestors hunted by following prey for days or weeks. They didn't overpower mammoths or giant elk. They exhausted them. They used teamwork, patience, and intelligence. Amanda nodded. Exactly. And there's something else. Persistence. Hunters don't just wear down their prey physically. They create psychological pressure. The prey animal knows it's being followed, but it can never rest, never feel safe. Morrison was starting to understand. You want to make them feel like prey instead of predators? The hydroponics bay is perfect for this, Amanda continued. Multiple levels, lots of cover, water features, narrow passages. We can use the environment to our advantage. But we still need people who can actually do this, Morrison said. I'm not sending scientists to fight alien warriors. At that moment, the door opened and Marine Sergeant Alex Turner walked in. He was a compact, muscular man with scars on his hands and face. Unlike the scientists, Alex looked like he had seen real combat. Sir, I heard we have hostile aliens demanding a fight, Alex said. Permission to volunteer for whatever needs doing. Morrison felt relieved. Alex, we need 5 people for something that's either very clever or completely crazy. Amanda explained the plan to Alex, who listened without interrupting. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Ma'am, that's either brilliant or suicidal, Alex said finally. But I've studied military history. Persistence hunting works. The question is, can we make it work against aliens? We'll need the right team, Amanda said. People who understand the hydroponics bay, people who can move quietly, people who can think tactically. Morrison nodded. Alex, you're obviously in. Amanda, I assume you want to go too? I need to be there, Amanda said. I understand Zephyrian psychology better than anyone else on the station. I'm going too, Lisa said. If this is about psychological warfare, you'll need someone who understands predator and prey behavior. Sam raised his hand. I know the station's communication systems. I can help coordinate if we get separated. Morrison shook his head. Sam, you're needed here. If this goes wrong, someone has to warn Earth. He thought for a moment. We need someone who knows the hydroponics bay really well. Danny Murphy, Alex suggested. He's an engineer, but he spends half his time in hydroponics fixing the growing systems. Kid knows every pipe and platform in there. And Dr. Rachel Stone, Amanda added. She's the botanist who designed the whole hydroponics layout. She knows every plant, every hiding spot, every water channel. Morrison nodded slowly. 5 people with different skills. Alex for tactics, Amanda for alien psychology, Lisa for behavior analysis, Danny for technical knowledge, and Rachel for environmental expertise. Captain, Alex said, are you sure about this? These aliens have conquered dozens of worlds. They're professional warriors. That's exactly why this might work, Amanda said. They've fought other warriors, other predators. They've never fought humans. They don't know what we're capable of. Morrison looked around the room at his people. They were scared, but they were determined. All right, we have 18 hours to prepare. Alex, start thinking about tactics. Amanda, study everything we know about Zephyrian psychology. Lisa, work on predator behavior patterns. As everyone started to leave, Lisa stopped at the door. Amanda, can I ask you something? What? Are you sure humans are persistence hunters? We haven't hunted like that for thousands of years. Amanda smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. Lisa, humans never stop being hunters. We just started hunting different things: stock markets, scientific discoveries, other humans. The instincts are still there. We just need to remember how to use them. Outside, the Zephyrian ships waited in the darkness of space, confident that tomorrow would bring another easy victory. They had no idea that the small, soft creatures on the station were planning something that would terrify them in ways they had never imagined. The hydroponics bay had been transformed overnight. What was once a peaceful growing area now felt like a jungle maze. Dr. Rachel Stone had spent hours explaining the layout to the team. Multiple levels connected by narrow walkways, dense clusters of food plants creating natural walls, and water channels running throughout the space-like veins. Amanda cross-checked her equipment one more time. No weapons, just as the Zephyrians had demanded. Instead, she carried rope, a small knife for cutting plants, and a water bottle. The other team members had similar basic supplies. "Remember," Sergeant Alex Turner said quietly, "we're not trying to kill them. We're trying to make them understand what it feels like to be hunted." Danny Murphy, the young engineer, looked nervous but determined. "I've set up some surprises in the maintenance areas. Nothing deadly, just things that will slow them down or make noise." Dr. Rachel Stone pointed to different areas of the bay. "The tomato section has the thickest cover. The grain area has multiple levels. The water treatment zone has the most complex passages." Dr. Lisa Kane studied her tablet, which showed Zephyrian behavioral data. "Based on their psychology, they'll try to intimidate us first. Loud noises, aggressive displays, they want us to panic and run." "Let them think we're panicking," Amanda said. "Scared prey makes predators overconfident." The main doors opened. With a loud hiss, and 4 Zephyrian warriors entered the hydroponics bay. Even knowing what to expect, the humans felt their hearts race at the sight of the aliens. Commander Vextar led the group, his scarred armor gleaming under the growing lights. Sub-Commander Kresheva moved like a deadly shadow beside him. The other 2 warriors were just as terrifying, their claws extended and ready for killing. "Beginning hunt protocol," Vextar announced, his voice echoing through the bay. "Prey animals have 60 seconds to hide before hunters begin tracking." Amanda gave the signal, and the 5 humans scattered in different directions. But this wasn't the panicked flight the Zephyrians expected. Each human moved with purpose, heading to predetermined positions. Alex Turner disappeared into the grain-growing section, his military training helping him move silently between the tall wheat stalks. Rachel Stone melted into the vegetable area, where she knew every plant and pathway. Danny Murphy headed for the maintenance levels, where his engineering knowledge gave him advantages. Lisa Kane moved toward the herb gardens, where the plants were thick and fragrant. Amanda chose the most dangerous position, the central water feature where the Zephyrians would expect to find hiding prey. But instead of hiding, she began setting up something entirely different. "Time is finished," Kresheva called out. "Now the real hunt begins." The Zephyrians moved into the bay with confidence. They had done this hundreds of times on dozens of worlds. Track the prey, corner them, finish them quickly. Finish them. Simple and effective. But something felt wrong immediately. Instead of finding panicked, hiding humans, the warriors discovered signs of deliberate movement. Broken plant stems that seemed intentional. Footprints in the soil that led in careful patterns. Disturbed water that suggested someone had passed through recently but wasn't trying to hide their trail. "This is strange," one of the unnamed warriors said to Vextar. "The prey is not hiding properly." Vextar examined a set of footprints near the lettuce beds. The prints were clear and easy to follow, but they led in a circle before disappearing, near a water channel. "Perhaps they are more foolish than we thought." What the Zephyrians didn't realize was that Amanda had studied their hunting patterns during the night. She knew they would track by sight, sound, and scent. So the humans began giving them exactly what they wanted to see: signs of prey movement that led the hunters deeper into the maze of plants and machinery. Kresheva followed a trail of broken branches toward the grain section where Alex Turner had gone. The trail was obvious, almost insulting in how easy it was to follow. But when she reached the end of the trail, there was nothing there except more signs leading in a different direction. Meanwhile, Alex Turner was 30 feet away, moving parallel to Kresheva's path. He had learned jungle warfare in the military, and this wasn't much different. The alien was strong and fast, but she was following his false trail instead of tracking him directly. In the vegetable section, Vextar pursued signs of Rachel Stone's movement. The broken stems and disturbed soil created a clear path through the tomato plants. But like Kreshva, he found himself following false signals. Rachel knew every plant in the section. She could move through areas that looked impenetrable to the aliens while leaving obvious trails in places where she had never been. The hunt continued for an hour, but the Zephyrians were growing frustrated. They could see signs of the humans everywhere, but they couldn't catch any of them. Worse, they were starting to feel like something was watching them. Danny Murphy had activated several motion sensors in the maintenance areas. Every time a Zephyrian passed one, it triggered small sounds. A pipe settling, water dripping, air moving through vents. Nothing dangerous, but enough to create the feeling of constant observation. "Commander," one of the warriors called to Vextar. "I found fresh footprints, but they lead to a dead end." Vextar examined the prints. They were clearly human, and they led to a wall covered in thick ivy. But there was no human there and no other way out. How did they escape? What he didn't see was the small drainage tunnel hidden behind the ivy that Danny had told Rachel about. She had used it to move from one section to another, leaving the obvious trail to confuse the hunters. Lisa Kane was implementing the psychological part of the plan. She moved through the herb gardens, leaving small signs of human presence. A piece of cloth caught on a branch. A handprint in soft soil. The scent of human sweat on leaves, but she never stayed in one place long enough to be caught. The effect on the Zephyrians was exactly what Amanda had hoped for. They were used to hunts where the prey became exhausted and made mistakes. Instead, these humans seemed to have unlimited energy and were growing more coordinated as time passed. "This is not how prey behaves," Kreshva said to Vextar as they met near the central water feature. "Agreed," Vextar replied, but his voice carried a note of uncertainty that hadn't been there before. "They should be tiring by now. They should be making errors." Amanda, hidden in the water treatment facility, smiled as she heard their conversation through the thin walls. The psychological pressure was working. The aliens were starting to question their assumptions about human behavior, but the real hunt was just beginning. Alex Turner appeared on a high walkway, visible to all four Zephyrians for just a moment before disappearing behind a wall of grain stalks. The aliens immediately gave chase, but when they reached the walkway, Alex was gone. What they didn't realize was that he had dropped down to a lower level using a rope that Danny had positioned earlier. Now he was behind them, watching them search for him in the wrong place. The humans were no longer being hunted. They had become the hunters, and the Zephyrians were starting to feel afraid. 2 hours into the hunt, Commander Vextar began to experience something he had never felt before in 40 years of warfare. His hands were shaking slightly, and he kept looking over his shoulder. The humans weren't just avoiding capture. They were actively stalking the Zephyrian hunters. "Commander," Sub-Commander Kreshva called softly. "Something is very wrong here." Vexatar moved carefully through the herb section to where Kreshva waited. Both warriors kept their backs to each other, a defensive position they had never needed in previous hunts. "The prey is watching us," Kreshva continued. "I can feel eyes on me constantly, but when I look, there's nothing there." This was exactly what Dr. Lisa Kane had been working toward. She used her knowledge of predator psychology to create the sensation of being observed. A shadow moving just at the edge of vision. A small sound that stopped the moment the aliens turned toward it. The feeling of being followed by something intelligent and patient. In the grain section, Alex Turner demonstrated why humans had once been the most feared hunters on Earth. He moved in a wide circle around one of the unnamed Zephyrian warriors, always staying just out of sight. Every few minutes he would leave a clear sign of his presence, a broken grain stalk, a footprint in soft earth, disturbed water. The alien warrior knew he was being tracked, but he couldn't locate the human. Worse, Alex's pattern of movement felt familiar in a way that triggered deep, primitive fears. It was the same patient circling that the warriors' ancestors had faced from apex predators on their homeworld millions of years ago. Danny Murphy's engineering skills came into play as the hunt progressed. He had prepared several traps throughout the maintenance areas, not deadly, but designed to injure and slow down the aliens. Loose floor panels that would twist an ankle. Low-hanging pipes positioned to strike a tall alien in the head. Water valves that could be opened to flood certain passages. The first trap caught one of the unnamed warriors as he pursued what he thought was Dr. Rachel Stone's trail. His foot went through a weakened floor panel, and while he wasn't seriously hurt, the twisted ankle would slow him down for the rest of the hunt. "They're using tools," the injured warrior reported to Vextar over their communication system. The floor was deliberately weakened. Vextar felt a chill run through his armored body. Using tools meant intelligence. Intelligence meant the humans were thinking several steps ahead. This wasn't prey behavior, it was predator behavior. Rachel Stone put her botanical knowledge to devastating use. She had identified several plants in the hydroponics bay that produced natural irritants. Crushed leaves from certain peppers could create a burning sensation if they got into alien eyes. Pollen from specific flowers could cause breathing difficulties. Sap from some vines would make surfaces slippery. She began leaving these natural weapons along the trails that the Zephyrians were following. Not enough to cause serious harm, but enough to make the aliens increasingly uncomfortable and wary. Amanda cross-coordinated the entire operation from her position near the central water system. She had studied the station's internal communication network and could hear most of what the Zephyrians said to each other. Their confidence was cracking. Their movements were becoming more cautious. Most importantly, they were starting to group together for protection instead of hunting individually. "They're afraid," Amanda whispered into her small radio. "Stay patient. Keep the pressure steady." The psychological warfare intensified as the third hour began. Lisa Kane created what she called presence indicators, signs that humans had been in specific locations recently, but without any clear indication of where they had gone next. A warm spot where someone had been sitting. The faint scent of human breath near a hiding place. Disturbed items arranged in patterns that suggested intelligence. Alex Turner escalated his stalking behavior. He began appearing at the edge of the alien's vision for just a moment, before vanishing. A human shape moving between grain stalks. A shadow on a higher level that disappeared when the aliens looked up. Always watching. Always present. Never quite catchable. The effect on Sub-Commander Kreshva was dramatic. She was young for a Zephyrian officer, and she had built her reputation on aggressive hunting tactics. But aggression requires confidence, and her confidence was rapidly disappearing. "Commander," she called to Vextar, and her voice carried a note of panic. "I think they're hunting us." Vextar wanted to deny it, but he couldn't. Every instinct developed over millions of years of evolution was telling him that he was being hunted by something intelligent, patient, and dangerous. The humans had turned the ritual combat into something far more terrifying, a demonstration of persistence hunting. Danny Murphy triggered his second trap as two Zephyrian warriors moved through a maintenance corridor. A carefully positioned water valve flooded the passage with knee-deep water mixed with plant nutrients that made the liquid slippery and foul-smelling. The aliens could continue, but they would be slower, wetter, and less comfortable. "This is not combat," one of the warriors complained. "This is psychological torture." He was right, and that was exactly the point. Rachel Stone began the final phase of her botanical warfare. She had collected seeds and plant materials that would stick to alien armor and clothing. As the Zephyrians moved through certain areas, these materials would attach to them, creating a scent trail that the humans could follow easily. Now the hunters had become the hunted in the most literal sense. The humans could track the aliens' movements while remaining invisible themselves. Amanda decided it was time to make direct contact. She activated the hydroponics bay's public address system, and her voice echoed throughout the space. "Commander, Vextar," she said, her voice calm and steady. "Do you understand what's happening to you?" Vextar spun around, looking for the source of the voice, but the speakers were everywhere. Show yourself, human. You came here expecting to hunt prey, Amanda continued. But you made a mistake. Humans aren't prey animals, we're persistence hunters. We're the species that hunted mammoths and cave bears to extinction. We're the apex predators that other apex predators learned to fear. Kreshva made a sound that was half growl, half whimper. The psychological pressure was becoming unbearable. She had gone from confident hunter to terrified prey in the space of 3 hours. You feel it now, don't you? Amanda's voice continued. The fear. The certainty that something is watching you, following you, waiting for the right moment. Your ancestors felt this same fear millions of years ago when real predators hunted them. Vextar tried to maintain his composure, but his voice shook when he spoke. We are Zephyrian warriors. We do not fear soft prey creatures. Look around you, Commander, Amanda said. You're grouped together for protection. You're moving cautiously. You're constantly checking behind you. You're doing exactly what prey animals do when they know they're being hunted. The truth of her words hit the aliens like a physical blow. They were behaving like prey because they had become prey. The humans had flipped the entire dynamic of the hunt, using intelligence, patience, and cooperation to turn warriors into victims. In the 4th hour, the psychological pressure became too much for one of the unnamed warriors. He broke formation and ran toward what he thought was an exit. But Danny Murphy had anticipated this. The fleeing alien ran directly into a low-hanging pipe that knocked him unconscious. 1 down, Alex Turner reported quietly. 3 Zephyrian warriors remained, but they were no longer hunters. They were terrified animals trying to survive an encounter with something they didn't understand and couldn't fight. The humans had won without throwing a single punch. In the center of the hydroponics bay, there was a small clearing surrounded by water channels and growing platforms. Captain Jake Morrison had been watching the hunt from the station's control room, and he could see that the 3 remaining Zephyrian warriors were moving toward this central area. They weren't hunting anymore. They were seeking shelter. Amanda Cross appeared first, walking slowly into the clearing with her hands visible and empty. She moved like someone who had all the time in the world. Behind her, the other humans emerged from their hiding places. Alex Turner from the grain section, moving with the quiet confidence of a military predator. Rachel Stone from the vegetable gardens, carrying plant samples like trophies. Danny Murphy from the maintenance areas, his clothes dirty from crawling through tunnels. Lisa Kane from the herb section, her eyes bright with the satisfaction of successful psychological warfare. Commander Vextar and Sub-Commander Kreshva stood back to back in the center of the clearing, their claws extended. The 3rd warrior, injured from Danny's ankle trap, limped beside them. All 3 aliens were breathing heavily, their armor scratched and stained from 4 hours of being hunted through the hydroponics maze. Stop, Vextar commanded, but his voice lacked the authority it had carried at the beginning. This hunt is finished. You have proven your point. Amanda sat down on the edge of a planting bed, just 10 feet from the terrified aliens. The casual gesture was more intimidating than any threat could have been. When apex predators were confident enough to sit down near their prey, it meant the hunt was truly over. Have we proven our point? Amanda asked quietly. Do you understand what just happened to you? Kreshva made a sound that might have been a laugh, but it carried no humor. You made us feel like prey animals. No, Lisa Kane said as she also sat down. We showed you that you are prey animals. Every species is prey to something. You just forgot that because you've been picking on weaker civilizations. Alex Turner remained standing, but he moved slowly and kept his hands relaxed. Even in victory, he maintained the patient alertness of a persistence hunter. Your species evolved from prey animals that developed weapons and armor to protect themselves from real predators. But the fear is still there, buried in your instincts. Danny Murphy set down his engineering tools and pulled out a water bottle. The simple act of stopping to drink while surrounded by alien warriors demonstrated complete confidence in human dominance. We triggered those old fears, made you remember what it felt like when your ancestors were hunted by things bigger and meaner than you. Vextar stared at the humans with his black eyes. His rational mind knew that the 5 small creatures sitting around him weren't physically dangerous. But every primitive instinct in his body was screaming that he was in the presence of apex predators who could kill him whenever they chose to. "Explain," he said finally. "Make me understand how soft creatures without claws or armor became hunters of hunters." Amanda smiled, and for the first time, Vextar saw the predator that lived behind human features. Millions of years ago, on our home planet, humans were small and weak. We had no natural weapons, no armor, no speed. We should have been easy prey for the big predators that ruled our world. Rachel Stone picked up the explanation. But we had something else. We had brains that could plan ahead. We had hands that could make tools. Most importantly, we had the ability to work together in coordinated groups. We became persistence hunters, Alex continued. We didn't try to overpower our prey, we followed them for days, for weeks if necessary. We never gave them a chance to rest or feel safe. Danny nodded toward the maze of plants around them. Like what we did to you today, but over much longer periods. A human hunting party could follow a mammoth for 2 weeks, taking turns so some hunters could rest while others continued the pursuit. Lisa leaned forward, her voice taking on the tone of a professor explaining a fascinating discovery. The psychological pressure was just as important as the physical chase. The prey animals knew they were being followed. They could never relax, never feel secure. Eventually, they would collapse from exhaustion and stress. Amanda continued the lesson. We hunted everything, Commander Vextar. Mammoths that weighed 10 tons, cave bears that could crush a human with one swipe, giant elk with antlers like spears. We hunted them all to extinction. Not with strength, Alex said. With patience, intelligence, and teamwork. Vextar felt something cold settle in his stomach. You hunted predators? We hunted apex predators, Amanda confirmed. The most dangerous animals on our planet. We didn't just survive alongside them, we eliminated them. We became the apex predator by hunting other apex predators. Kresheva made a small whimpering sound. That's why we felt so afraid. You weren't just hunting us. You were hunting us the way your ancestors hunted creatures that could kill them. Rachel Stone nodded. Every move we made today was based on persistence hunting techniques. The false trails to confuse you, the patient tracking, the constant psychological pressure, the way we appeared and disappeared without ever giving you a clear target. The traps weren't meant to kill you, Danny added. They were meant to wear you down, slow you down, make you more vulnerable to the real hunt. Lisa smiled. And the real hunt was psychological. We made you feel like prey animals because that's what you became the moment you entered our territory. Alex. Turner's expression was serious as he delivered the final lesson. Commander, your species conquered other civilizations by being bigger and stronger, but humans conquered our entire planet by being smarter and more persistent than everything else that lived there. Amanda stood up slowly, and all 3 Zephyrians flinched backward. The movement was casual, but it demonstrated who held the power in this situation. This is what humans are, Commander Vexitar, she said quietly. We're persistence hunters who look like prey animals. We're cooperative pack hunters who appear to be weak individuals. We're the species that survived and thrived by hunting things that could kill us with one blow. Vextar's voice was barely above a whisper. What do you want from us? We want you to leave. Captain Morrison's voice came through the communication system. We want you to go back to your empire and tell them that human space is not to be entered. We want you to mark our territory as forbidden hunting grounds. And if we refuse? Kresheva asked, though her voice suggested she already knew the answer. Amanda's smile was gentle, but her eyes held the patient confidence of a predator that had already won. Then we hunt you. Not just here, not just now. We follow your ships across space. We track down your colonies. We demonstrate to your entire empire what it means to be hunted by persistence predators who never give up. The 3 Zephyrians looked at each other, and Vextar saw his own fear reflected in their eyes. They had come here expecting to add another weak species to their empire. Instead, they had discovered that they were the weak ones. We will leave, Vextar said finally. We will report that humans are dangerous predators and that this system is to be avoided. Good, Amanda said. She sat back down, once again demonstrating the casual confidence of an apex predator. But Commander, before you go, I want you to understand something important. What? We're not unique. Every human carries these instincts. The patience, the persistence, the ability to hunt in coordinated groups. You met 5 scientists and 1 soldier today. Imagine what would happen if you met our actual military forces. Vextar didn't want to imagine it, but his mind created the picture anyway. Thousands of humans all working together with the patient persistence they had demonstrated today. Warriors who looked like prey but hunted like nightmares. Go, Amanda said softly. Tell your empire about the humans. Tell them we're the species that hunted mammoths and cave bears. Tell them we're persistence predators who never stop, never give up, and never forget. As the Zephyrians left the hydroponics bay carrying their unconscious companion, they moved like prey animals fleeing from predators. They would never forget the terror of being hunted by creatures that looked harmless, but acted like apex predators. In her final report, Dr. Amanda Cross wrote, "First contact with the Zephyrian Empire was successful. The aliens have agreed to avoid human territory and will warn other aggressive species about human capabilities. Note for future reference. The most effective human weapon is not our technology or our numbers. It is the patient persistence that made us the apex predator on Earth. We never stopped being hunters. We just learned to hunt among the stars."